medical training at UCI makes 2 trips to Central America to set up free medical and dental clinics for those in impoverished communities. And this summer, we traveled to Nicaragua. There were 29 of us going on this trip, each coming from different backgrounds and having different expectations of what the trip was going to be like. But as the week came to an end, we all left with a couple things in common. Our love for the beautiful country, respect for the doctors and staff members that taught us so much, and the lasting memories of the warm-hearted patients we met along the way. We left with an appreciation for the lives we have back at home and the realization that this trip went beyond all of our deepest and highest expectations. We started off as 29 different individuals, but we left feeling like one true family.
On the very first day, we were introduced to the turmoils endured by the people of Nicaragua and witnessed firsthand that the luxuries of affordable and appropriate healthcare we take for granted here isn't something that is available to other parts of the world. We were fortunate enough to visit Managua Hospital, where we observed their typical everyday workflow, and man, did that change the entire atmosphere of the trip. Walking through the corridors of the building, you can really tell how small, understaffed, and underdeveloped the facility was to house hundreds, if not thousands of patients they receive every day. Despite this, you still have many families standing for hours outside the gate, waiting for their opportunity to be administered into the hospital. One particular moment that impacted our group was the labor and delivery room. Countless mothers and babies were cramped together in a single room without incubators or proper neonatal supervision to ensure these newborns were kept healthy and safe. However, this was merely one example of insufficient healthcare that wouldn't be acceptable here in the United States. Broken apart and torn down beds, malfunctioning or even complete absence of essential medical equipment, lack of basic sanitary equipment along with many crevices throughout the building that allowed insects and flies to roam around the place. The inspiring doctors endure all these hardships and more on a daily basis, all to provide the best care that they can to give to each patient. You couldn't help but sympathize for the people who have no other alternative for obtaining the medical care that they need. Following the visit, we talked about the lack of proper treatment observed within the hospital amongst one another and reflected on how these images have forever changed our perception about global health prevention. This visit gave us more than enough inspiration for us to provide the best as we can for each individual patient. By understanding the conditions in which the people of Nicaragua have to endure every single day and seeing the appreciation on each patient's face as we hand them their medication, we were able to ignore the cramped working environment, the dirt, the humidity, and insects swarming around the place, and appreciate that moment with the patients and know that our work there was able to help them just a little bit. Despite being tired and exhausted from seeing hundreds of patients every day, caring for the Nicaraguan people brought us as a group that much closer together and gave us more motivation than ever to continue to pursue our medical dreams.
Every clinic day, people would walk for miles and wait for hours in the rain just to get care that we have at the tips of our fingers back home. Regardless of their circumstances, they greeted us with warm smiles and genuine gratitude. They put their full trust in us and welcomed our help with open hands. For those few hours a day, all cultural boundaries and differences faded away and we were just people trying to help each other out. The doctors worked with limited resources and conditions that were unimaginable to us in our first world comforts, but they endured it without complaints. It was a true humanitarian marvel. I was quickly met with this sad reality that healthcare in most of the world is a privilege and not a human right. On the first day of clinic, we had a lady come in with 3 children who had parasitic infections. She herself looked exhausted and faint, and she was selflessly focused on helping her children rather than herself. And so we took her vitals, and we realized her blood pressure was very high and that her symptoms pointed towards a possible urinary tract infection. At this point, it was the end of the day and everyone was seeing their last round of patients. We could have just sent her home with some Tums for her acidity issues, but we wanted to thoroughly check everything out. Not only did this indicate that she had a full-blown UTI, but that she was seriously diabetic. I was saddened that we didn't have the means to treat her diabetes, and that we could only prescribe her antibiotics for her UTI. As we saw her leave, I could only hope that her condition would improve. I was disheartened by the limitations of how we could help. But on the last clinic day, I found out that the same patient was undergoing dialysis in a hospital in Managua. We were told that she would have died of renal failure in her home had we not diagnosed her with her conditions. After hearing this, I understood that it wasn't a simple painkiller, a parasitic treatment, or a checkup that we were providing. It was a second chance. After this trip, I gained a sense of confidence in myself to reach my dream of becoming a doctor. During the clinic days, I surprised myself whenever I got the diagnosis correct or was able to recall a medical technique I'd observed over the years. I went to Nicaragua hoping to provide people with the basic human right of healthcare. It turns out the roles were reversed and that the people there were able to provide me with more than I could ever hope to return.
Before each trip, we gather donations that we give to the patients we see throughout the clinic days. And on this trip, we also brought bags of little toys and balloons for the orphanage we visited on the morning of our free day. And I think for me, I didn't fully understand where we were going and what exactly we would be doing for the children. Of course, I knew we were bringing toys and cooking food, and I was definitely excited to hang out with the kids. But not only did I underestimate the impact we would make on their lives, I underestimated the impact they would make on mine. On our ride there, one of the staffers explained to us that Nicaragua doesn't have a recycling system. So what these children and families do is they go through the trash and they find materials that can be recycled and they take them to various locations to exchange them for money. I have such a soft spot for children, and when I saw them sifting through the trash at this massive dump we drove by, I think that's the moment it hit me. I just wanted to pick them all up and take care of them. Now imagine how I felt walking into the orphanage that day. Once we got there, all the kids were sitting around the outdoor area waiting for us, and we immediately started cooking the food we brought and blowing up the balloons and setting up decorations. You could tell that all the kids were a little nervous with all of us there, but once we started to blow up the balloons, man, was it easy to get them to smile. We spent the rest of our time there face painting, handing out toys, and playing games, and about halfway through, I handed a little boy some bubbles in a balloon and he ran away to play with them. But not too long after that, he came up to me and wanted me to follow him so we could bounce his bouncy ball against the wall. And that was it. My heart was taken over by this little boy in a Ninja Turtles t-shirt. I spent the rest of the day playing with him and making sure he got a turn to hit the piñata and making sure he got a face painting of the Nicaraguan flag on his cheek. And at the end of the day, when we began to serve the food and people were starting to leave, he found me sitting to the side and stayed until we got ready to head out. And what a bittersweet moment, to reflect on the day we created for them, but to understand that we wouldn't be back anytime soon. But on that day, that beautiful day, we were able to bring a little extra happiness to the world. That day, all of us got to witness the beauty of pure happiness written all over each child's face. But more importantly, that day we all took a step back and truly understood why we were there. I took a step back and understood what I'm supposed to do with my life. That this little boy helped me truly understand that becoming a doctor for me, that's the end game. Helping people, helping children, that's my true passion. It's not just what you say when you get asked, why medical school? So wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I hope I can impact the lives of everyone I meet, just like that little boy impacted mine.
let it go.
Before this trip, I would have never imagined that I would ever have an experience quite like this. As a second-time tripper and the trip leader for 28 other individuals, I worried that I wouldn't be able to guide them and provide them with an experience that they would remember forever. With the task of keeping account for all of my peers, making sure we were always on time for our flights and for clinic, and working with our guides, Dinya and Osmar, I wasn't sure I would be able to provide the patients I saw with my utmost attention. I wasn't sure if I would leave this trip feeling any different than how I felt when I entered. However, right from the beginning, I found that these innocent worries would quickly disappear. Every day I was inspired by our group, who worked tirelessly to give their patients the best care possible, working with an intense fire in their movements, leaving no symptom left unnoticed. We were impassioned by the doctors we saw in Manawa Hospital, working in unimaginable conditions, kids who had almost nothing to call their own, but still gave us the brightest smiles we've ever seen in exchange for the minuscule amount of time we gave them, and the enormous amount of gratitude we received from the people of Nicaragua. At the beginning and at the end of the trip, we split up into small groups to share our most intimate memories and experiences of the clinic days. It was during these moments that I would look around at these incredible individuals and be proud of how much we've grown in such a small amount of time. There was no doubt to how much we were able to help the people of Nicaragua, but in all honesty, they helped us in unimaginable ways. They impacted our lives in ways we had never expected, and for that, we are all so grateful. The memories that I had with the people that surrounded me are ones that stay with me wherever I go. This trip turned out to be an experience nothing short of a roller coaster, full of laughs, smiles, and tears. We came from all walks of life to share this experience together and left as a group that will stay together for the rest of our lives. These individuals who became my friends who I can now call my family. This is what GMT has given to me.
Small hours, these small hours still remain. Hey, I was doing just fine before I met you. I drink too much and that's an issue, but I'm okay. Tell your friends it was nice to meet them, but I hope I never see them again. I know it breaks your heart. Moved to the city in a broke down car, and 4 years no calls. Now you're looking pretty in a hotel bar, and I can't stop. No, I can't stop. So baby, pull me closer in the backseat of your Rover that I know you can't afford. Bite that tattoo on your shoulder. Pull the sheets right off the corner of the mattress that you stole from your roommate back in Boulder. We ain't ever getting older.
As good as the day I met you, I forget just why I left you. I was insane. Stay and play that Blink 182 song that we beat to death in Tucson. Okay. I know it breaks your heart. Moved to the city and I broke down crying. 4 years no call. Now I'm looking pretty in a hotel bar, and I can't stop. No, I can't stop.
So baby, pull me closer in the backseat of your Rover that I know you can't afford. Bite that tattoo on your shoulder. Pull the sheets right off the corner of the mattress that you stole from your roommate back in Boulder. We ain't ever getting older. never getting older. So baby, pull me closer in the backseat of your Rover that I know you can't afford. Bite that tattoo on your shoulder. Pull the sheets right off the corner of that mattress that you stole from your